Morning, Paul. Morning, I can see you. But
Morning.
okay. Hey, Paul, sorry, you had to come on because I know we discussed the shower thing. And I was going to let you know to just get with you. I did talk to people at Culture Committee, and they have language classes in there. Makes it very difficult for them. So, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody said it, but I think we're waiting on people, so hang tight.
Call the meeting to order. Roll call, Jen.
Shelley Fyan,
Chiniha,
Anita Matt,
present.
Sharmel Gillen,
Esquasi Supele.
Carol Langford, Len Judy, Bing Matt,
I'm here.
Ellie Bundy,
Present.
Martin Charlo,
Present.
Mike Nelson,
I'm here.
James Steele Senior. Charmo, can you lead us in prayer this morning, please?
Susan, this morning I'm just thinking about Thanksgiving and all of the blessings that we have to celebrate every day. And I'm thinking about what we believe in, how we believe and how we cling to those things that are the foundation of our beliefs, and how important that is to help us to stand when things are tough, and help us to keep focus when things are not clear. So just pray for all of our people today to take time to think about what you believe in. Esia os kuls sheitlu epl skuls tlust tmasket kwempies dulich nunochenemen yesukali ichnox es skul es skosevs ke ilimichum. That prayer is from our tribe's prayer leader book. Chole was teaching those prayers to me and many others some time ago, and I look forward to Chole coming back and being with us. And I just pray for all of our elders who carry our beliefs in the language, and I pray that the language of our people would begin to thrive, that we could come together and that we could be stronger, that our future would be built on a strong foundation of what we believe.
So first of all, we have a swearing in of James Steele Jr. We have Judge Cliff here. Testing, testing.
That's what I did last time.
Okay, just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, James H. Steele Jr.,
I, James H. Steele Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
to carry out faithfully and impartially
to carry out faithfully and impartially
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
in the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
cooperate, promote, and protect
cooperate, promote, and protect
the best interests of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes
the best interests of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes
in accordance with this Constitution and bylaws.
according with this Constitution and bylaws.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sign this here.
Welcome back, James. Do we have a set of minutes from November 18th?
Madam Chair? On page 1, where we talked about game wardens, where I mentioned I was not in favor of just hiring new game wardens. I also wanted to add in there that I believe the figure was over $1 million to hire 10 new game wardens. Was that correct? Yeah, so maybe something to the effect that it would cost over $1 million to hire 10 new. I would like to see options. And then also keep in possibly having gate guards in various locations.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Jen, can we get somebody from IT to come over? Oh, okay.
Approve today, not today's minutes, but the November 18th minutes, 2001 with corrections.
Okay, motion by Carol to
2021.
approve the minutes with corrections, second by Anita. Any other changes? If not, all those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Okay, we have an agenda for today.
Madam Chair, I have two things.
Chairwoman Defiant, I have two issues.
What are they?
It's about a book. Where you guys made that decision to make sure that we say what we're gonna talk about. I mean, Martin said it didn't happen, so I don't know.
Well, it's just so if we need staff here that we can alert them beforehand.
Okay.
Anita?
I'd make the motion to approve the November 23rd agenda with additions.
Chairwoman Defiant, I have two issues that I'd like to have an open, please.
Go ahead, Martin.
That's it. I have two issues in open. One in
Any staff present for those?
just council.
Okay. Did you email us the report?
No, I did not.
After the
As I,
walkthrough?
as I stated last meeting, nothing will be emailed out. Hard copies will be distributed at the end of the day. Each one is identified by the council member's name, and everything should remain confidential. I'd like to have a full council discussion after we've had a chance to sift through that, possibly next Tuesday, or actually not possibly, I would like to do it next Tuesday, and we will go from there. Thank you. And what, I'm sorry that,
Approve the agenda with additions. Sorry, Martin, can you speak up? We can hardly hear you.
oh, I just wanted to apologize for not being there. I had a unexpected family issue come up. So I'm dealing with that today. So I apologize for not being there to present the report in person. So if you have any questions, please direct them at me, not any of the other staff, because no one else had anything to do with the preparation or anything. So any mistakes with that, please come to me. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mike.
You have one issue. It's a burial assistance request.
And I have one of the same. I'm not sure if it's the same family, so I'll just, what's that? Okay, any other additions? Second by Mike. All those in favor?
I don't know if you guys aren't using your mics or anything, but it's really difficult to hear out here. I don't know if Ellie's having the same issue.
Motion carries unanimous. It's really difficult to hear you as well, Martin. IT, can you help us out here?
Madam Chair, I can hear Martin fine too, and I can hear you guys as well, but whenever somebody starts speaking, there's like a 10-minute delay where we hear nothing, and then your voices come up.
Okay, we're having IT work on it now.
Hey, Martin, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you. Does it sound a little bit better?
Yeah, that sounds a lot better. And it could just be that people aren't using their mics well with masks.
Ellie, can you say something real quick? I'm so sorry.
Yep. Good morning. And I can hear when somebody's saying anything, it's just really, really faint, and then it kicks up to high volume. So I don't think it's a mic issue being turned off and on or masks. It's there. The sound is there, but very faintly, and then it kicks up to loud. And it's about a
Static issue. I
it's
think
just like a
something-
5-second delay, and 5 to 10 seconds, and then it will go loud.
I could go ahead with my stuff.
Go ahead, Carol.
Okay. This morning I checked my grandson's backpack. I'm trying to turn this down. There's an echo. Anyway, it says, when I first come to this land, and I just noticed that there is one reference to Indian territory in here. That's a child's book. That's it. And I wonder how this, I call it propaganda, got into his backpack. I'm just really saddened. You know, this is the Indian reservation, and maybe it's just a funny book. Maybe it's just something to laugh about, but I didn't take it funny. I took it personal. And I don't think there's anything we can do about it, but I think in the future, maybe bring it up with the school board to say, yeah. It was in my grandson's backpack. They sent homework home and that was in there with the homework. So I thought I need to bring it forward to the council and show that this kind of stuff, you know, they talk about this, I don't know, there's a term for it, but you know, I just think it's wrong.
What school was it?
K. William Harvey.
So that is exactly the reason we're suing OPI for Indian Education for All, because there's no accountability there as to what they're spending their money on. So just an FYI.
Okay, and my second issue, Madam Chair, I had texted Anita Matt, I don't know, probably 4 weeks ago regarding AA and Narcotics Anonymous meeting down at the Yellow Building in Dixon. And last week was going to be our first meeting and they had a lot of people lined up to come down and be a part of the first meeting. And it was I didn't know the building was under construction, so it wasn't ready to go. And I know Lisa tried to do everything she could do, but it felt like obstacles. And I thought I better just bring it up with council to get clearance that it's okay that they have a meeting down there. You know, we Alcoholics and Narcotics Anonymous, we're not going to go down there and destroy a building when we get an opportunity to use it. We are providing a service to that community to try to make a difference. And so I'm hoping whatever we can do to accommodate the next, they're going to have meetings down there for 6 months, Shay Ashley and Stephen Morgel. And I'm not saying we bend over backwards, but you know, give them a key, allow them to have the meeting every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And let's see what kind of difference they can make rather than any kind of obstacles. And I know sometimes you got to tell people no, but you know, I just really felt bad, you know, because they'd lined out a whole bunch of people to come down for the first meeting anyway. I'll stop whining about it. But I think these are our opportunities for a community to really make a difference rather than the tribes always having to throw money towards something. We can make a difference by allowing these things to happen because these people do it on their own time, their own money, and it helps their recovery. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up, Madam Chair, so we don't have any further issues. And in the future, if there's any other meetings and in other communities, I'll let council know. So we're all on the same page. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you the first thing. I just thought it would, you know, be a go and everything would be fine. But I guess didn't think right. So anyway,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, this is a issue where I guess maybe maintenance and Lisa should have been here. So that's why I always ask what the issue is beforehand.
Okay, and they were both aware, they were both in conversation, maintenance and Lisa were in conversation, but yeah, I understand now, Madam Chair, why you wanted to know.
Anita?
Just a real quick comment, Carol, and I was pushing too to get not only the AA meetings, but anything that DHRD or tribal health, anything to get the community going. The problem is when we opened up, they hadn't done the floors yet. So that was something they were going back in to do. So that could have been the remodeling. And I'm sorry for the confusion, and hopefully from now on, we've got that settled out over who's controlling the keys. And because I did say to get a hold of Rick, but I didn't know they had started the flooring. So I apologize for that.
Okay, we'll go with our first walk-in, Arliss. You want to come up to the mic and push that button on the bottom?
Madam Chair, I did ask Arliss to come in because I heard some real frustration and her not being able to see any kind of light at the end of the tunnel. So I thought this is the only option to maybe get some things moving for her and her family and her extended family that are living with her.
Yes, our well went dry and we started having trouble with our water in July. So we called Red Horn because we didn't know who else to call. And he come out and he said that the pressure tank was needed to be replaced, and the wiring from the pump from the well outside needed to be extended into the house, and a motor. I don't know what the motor was about, but so I called the elders program, and they said Diane Matt was saying that they didn't pay for tickets that big. So then I thought, well, I'll call housing. So I called housing, and to honestly tell you the truth, I don't know who I talked to, but I talked to somebody under the water and well. I can't remember if it was, I don't think it was Rocky. I thought maybe Joanne, and they didn't have no money. So somebody mentioned Pat Matt's program. So I went and talked to him, And he said he had no money. And he said, well, why don't you just pay for it out of your $2,000 per capita you're getting? And it's just like, well, yeah, I guess we're gonna have to. So that bill ran us around close to $3,300, along with hiring Brian Cahoon to dig up from the well casing into the house. That was 400 and something. Said and done, it would cost us close about $3,700. Then our well went dry here last week, so I called Arnie back at Red Horn, and he came and he said, your well's dry. He ran his line down there, and it was at 146 feet, and he said it was dry. And you know, we asked him, I and Doug asked him, well, how come you didn't check the aqua? Did you check the aqua flow before you even assumed that it was the pressure tank, you know? And I don't know, it was just hee-haw around, and so, but that's what he said. I called him and he said our well is dry, and I can't afford a well. I'm raising grandkids. My mother's still over in Billings in recovery from COVID, and she'll get to come home in hopefully in a week, and we'll have to take care of her. And between, you know, I have no water, and getting kids ready for school, and having to help take care of her, it's just all stressful. And Rocky did call me back, and she said, oh, you'll have to fill out an application. This is beyond an application. I mean, I need water now. I don't need water in April or July or next spring. You know what I mean? I mean, when you're raising grandkids, and, you know, and that's a full-time job itself, taking care of grandkids. Then my mother's coming home. I'm going to have to help take care of her. And it's just, it's stressful. And Carol called Tribal Health to see if we can go down and shower. And I don't know if you got anything back, but I called down there, and Leonard said, I haven't heard, and we need a place to shower. We've been going to my mother's house, you know, because she hasn't been there, but we can't go there when she gets home. We can't, you know, track in and out. We don't want her to get sick, and there's no reason for us to have to go down to my mother's house and use her shower when she's recovering.
Madam Chair, I did talk to Paul Phillips, and he asked me if he said he has a lot of people coming in and out wanting to take showers. So they were reluctant and asked me to check with the culture committee to see if there was, because there's showers down there. And Richard is out, and the culture committee has a lot of students down there for the language program. So that didn't seem like it was an option either. So what I was going to tell you today is please get a hold of Paul and see if you can work something out with him, because he was accommodating.
Yeah.
But it had to be worked out, and it had to be like early hours or late hours, so people wouldn't see you come and go.
And that's fine. We'll make it work, you know, and there'll be a few days in there where we probably won't be able to be there at the time they want us to be, because my two grandsons are in basketball, you know, and like Thursday night, we didn't get home till after 9:30, and last night we didn't get home till after 8, you know, and it's just, yeah.
And also, we talked about a portable pump, and Bud said that they would need to buy one, and I should let Bud speak for himself, but also he said, Bud said that there's only been one appeal for a new well in just a very short time. So he might want to talk on that and find out if even a new well is available, another well is available to you. Bud?
Okay.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Madam Chair and Council. There is a possibility that we could get approval through the Indian Health Service for a new well. However, that is going to take quite some time. Unfortunately, Arliss, there is there is paperwork that we have to go through in order to get that kind of approval. And we're happy to help you fill that out. It doesn't solve the problem in terms of getting a new well right away. I did spend some time with Doug yesterday and explain that there would have to be a water tank purchased. I think they're around $1,100 or $1,200. And if you had a trailer, you could get a tank and set it up so that it could, you would have water at the house. It would have to be refilled periodically, obviously, but at least it would provide some relief for you folks until you could get a new well. We have currently roughly 10 people that are waiting for wells. We only have one well driller, and they have been having issues getting the labor that it takes to drill a well. So everyone is experiencing the same thing that we are, is a lack of personnel to be able to get these jobs done due to primarily COVID. I do believe the answer temporarily would, for one of the programs, and we don't currently have a program that fits this, but to buy a tank from like Murdoch's, put it on a trailer with a pump, heat blanket and heat tapes to keep it from freezing up, and that would provide some amount of relief temporarily.
And would we keep the tank like in the shop? I just don't want to hook up to the wiring or anything outside in case, you know, after you talk to Arnie on Redhorn to kind of find out what he done. And, you know, I don't know if they can drop the pump, but if they drop the pump a little bit, I don't want to end up with bad water, you know, neither, because he said it was, the well was at 146 feet. And, you know, we kind of figured in July that we are running out of water because it was, we told him there's sand in there and there's residue in there, you know, and he never did really give us an answer if he checked it or not first before he put the pressure tank in. You know?
Arliss, the thing that I'm going to do is Arnie won't be back from, he's out of town until tomorrow. I probably will try and get a hold of him Friday and see if I can get more information about your situation, and that'll tell us what your next step may be. And I'll be happy to call you folks and let you know what I find out on Friday.
And, you know, Dave Bick, I called him. I didn't know, you know, who else to call after Arnie. He called a friend that does well drilling in Plains, and he's like 25 wells behind. And then I called this other company in Adipolson, OK, or something like that, and they never called back. Then I called Dave Bick, and sounded like he was willing to help us out, you know, if the tribe was willing to, however we were willing to get it paid for. I mean, he's willing to be right there. And another one is, I think Eddie Ivanoff from R. Lee does that kind of work, I was told.
Yeah, those are two contractors that we currently don't use. However, if council, or if we could talk with Rick to see if we could put something together with Bix, that would possibly be a solution for you. That would be much quicker.
You know, I think we need to look at those other well drillers. Dave Bick is a tribal member, and I know there might have been some things that came up with housing, but come on, this day and age, we need to take every opportunity we can to use tribal members. And if he's willing to, I think we try to find the money, and I don't know where anybody comes up with $1,100 just like that. So, Bud, if there's anything that your program could do to assist with that, I know you have one portable unit and it's out, but with wells going dry all around us, I think we need to look at maybe a purchase of a couple of those. And I know that's not COVID related, but maybe there's some way to connect it.
Lynn?
Well, we'll talk about it. I unfortunately, I currently don't have a program that provides that, but maybe I can get with Jody and we can come up with the money to buy a tank and put it on a trailer for him.
Okay, just a comment, Arliss, thank you for coming in. This is certainly an emergency situation that we need to respond to. And, you know, as Carol mentioned, we're going to be encountering this situation here in the future as we get more people moving into Valley. There's going to be a lot of wells that are going to be drying up because of this, and we need to be prepared for this. You know, I'm willing to, you know, look for a solution where the tribes are going to just pay for it, just get it done. And as I understood, when we were discussing issues with the CARES Act funding, there was money available for these certain situations. And when a well goes dry, we could always tie that to COVID. You know, trying to keep a home sanitary, can't do it without water.
Right.
And in Arliss's situation, she has her grandkids with her, and so I would ask that we have Rick look at those guidelines for the CARES Act funding, and let's just help Arliss out and pay for it and get it done and get it moving. We got a cold front moving in here, so you know we need to act on this real fast. So if we can get Rick involved in this and just get it done.
Okay,
Thank you.
just for clarification, it's the ARPA funding. CARES is already spent.
Or the ARPA money.
Anita?
Thanks, Lynn. That's what I was gonna bring up, and I actually had asked about it last week because that was part of that ARPA funding, our priorities. And we were gonna try to set a certain account aside that it didn't fit everything else with housing and all the other programs. So I'm hoping that we can get Rick on that and get some policies and get that thing out the door, because we're gonna be seeing more of this. And I think that we can tie it to COVID because of all the people moving in. We're gonna have a lot more wells going dry. So we're gonna have to be prepared for it, get a couple pumps and that, but for right now, I think we need to move on it. So thank you, Madam Chair.
And not
Carol?
only that, you know, my mother will be coming home and we've got to help take care of her, and I have no water. I don't want, you know, to get COVID and then ended up taking it back down to her. You know, we're trying to find somebody to be her homemaker and trying to get somebody in there for a night, but we're still having a problem, you know, with dealing with that. And yeah, I mean, we're packing our water, and it was real nice at Patricia Cashane's program. They got us 10 big bottles of water from, you know, Super One, and she said, well, you'll have to drive clear to Polson. And I said, that's fine, Patricia. I said, I appreciate it. I said, our boys have a game up there tonight anyway. And this was on last Thursday. So we stopped and we got all that water, but we're out and we're been just filling it up out of our mom's outside faucet, you know, and, and putting it back in the truck and going home. And we're just trying to do the best we can to, you know, use what we need. And, you know, in Thanksgiving, I'm just going to have to buy mostly bought stuff and just do my turkey and potatoes, and the rest of it's just going to have to be from the store.
Carol?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would ask that the council consider a consensus that we do whatever we can to help purchase a tank and also work on getting a well as soon as possible. I mean, without that, it kind of goes by the wayside, but at least a consensus puts people on notice that it's, you know, we need to work on this and we need to get it done. And if there's other obstacles that come up, please come back to us and let us know so we're aware of it.
Okay, so Rick is out today, and I'm gonna ask Jamie if she can coordinate these services with housing. Are you there, Jamie? So Bud and Jody, can you guys work with Arliss? Get back to us?
Yes, we'll be happy to.
Yeah, and so just to be clear, housing doesn't have a program that this fits into. And so any money that we need to spend to get her this temporary fix will be billed to the tribal council.
That's where I need Jamie to come in.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll work with Jamie then, and then we'll get in touch with Arliss on how to move forward. But to be clear, we don't have, this doesn't fit into any of our programs. We don't have money for this, what you're asking us to do. So if council has the money, we can help, you know, do the coordination of the assistance, but we don't have the money to pay for it.
I understand that. We do have ARPA funds that we had talked about as a priority.
Okay.
To help people with roofs, wells, whatever those needs were. That was one of our priorities, if I recall. So Jennifer, if you can coordinate with Jamie and Greg Spar. And
All right.
come back to us with the estimates.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll get on it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Paul is here. Paul, do you want to address the shower situation?
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Okay, so the shower situation is we're trying to create, you know, the safest way to start utilizing the showers again. The difference between, you know, we're trying to keep all surfaces clean. In the centers, difference is the showers, saunas are wet. So they have to dry to be, you know, completely clean. So we're working on a way to open it up to everybody, which is ideal for me and my staff, because then we don't have any conflict with individuals coming in and wanting to use the shower just like someone else's. So we are working on that, and I'm estimating that within a couple weeks, we'll have our UV lights and protocol to using the UV lights in both the sauna and the shower.
Okay, sorry, I was having a little trouble hearing.
Yeah.
IT,
Yeah, I'm at
work on that, please.
So did any of it come through, or?
He said he has a long-term fix for the use of the shower, but he didn't really say whether Arliss's family could use it. So maybe Arliss just get with him and figure out a time, because they did say it was possible. It just needed to be earlier or later.
Yeah, and we'll clean, you know, clean the showers and bring our own cleaning stuff to clean the showers every night. I mean, we ain't gonna, you know, leave them dirty and leave the floor wet, and, you know, we just need a place to shower, you know, and it won't be every night, you know.
So on that note, we have homeless people or people that have trailers or campers that they're living in that don't have showers, and I think in all of our communities. And so I'm wondering if that's a service that we can provide in all of our community centers. I can think of a couple families in Arlee right now that don't have shower facilities. So if our community centers could be used for that, I think that's something that we need to figure out.
Yes, yes.
Anita?
And before COVID, we have several individuals that would come in and use just the showers. But after COVID, we, are working on a way to sanitize in between use that is both effective and timely. So we do have that in progress and trying to get it set up so that we can open it to everybody.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Anita? Okay, anyone else? Okay, thanks for coming in, Arliss.
Yes, and thank you guys. I sure appreciate it. I really do. Makes me feel good. Yeah. Okay, so I'll take it with Bud and he'll call me.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, we have another walk-in.
We get this first.
Okay, Joe? You just want to push up button on that mic there. There
Good
you go.
morning.
Good morning.
I guess Carol asked me to come in, some issues with the contractors on this reservation. And just like you're talking about this wells, I did wells probably about 20 years ago, maybe a little longer. And it was for non-members. We hit water about where she's running out of water. It cost money to go farther down, and because it was a non-member, yeah, we probably pounded in another 200 feet. We had water all over, but once you pound past that one first or second, we hit water at 75 feet, then we hit it again. It just, once you keep drilling in that casing, it passes it, submerges, disappears. So they're probably not running out of water because they went extra 200 feet. And these contractors are just like, well, they don't have the funds to do that. So whether it's a tribal lot or whatever, it's just, we don't have the money, then they don't want to pay for it, then we're going to run out of water in 20 years with all these developments. I helped build part of this highway, most of this highway, and I've left the reservation, built substations, and just built roads elsewhere off the reservation. I got training here at the college, and it's ongoing. I'm sure Mike Dolson's aware. I even wrote a business plan for that hot springs. We got the water surrounded. It's like the #1 rated or #2 rated water in the world. And then there was a plan like back in the late 50s. We were going to fly them in and fly them out, and it never happened. There was another proposal probably before it went under in the mid-70s, and it never happened. They buried the pool. I remember playing in the pool. I remember going in the bathhouse, the mud bath, everything. And it just sits there. We put all this money into asbestos removal, and it still just sits there. Same goes for the agency. We had a building there. They were doing AA, had the key, everything. And then we just flattened the buildings. And then you talk about everybody needing this rehab or help. Some of us did it on our own, and I had to leave here just so I never got a degree for heavy equipment or nothing. I just kept at it on my own. I was like this far from getting my degree, and I went into the apprenticeship program through the heavy equipment. And then they said I could come back in a couple of weeks if I didn't like it. And that's the only time I ever did a well. I probably did like 4 wells in that 2 weeks. And that wasn't gonna do wells. I mean, it's just like, come home, you're pretty much deaf. Your generator, your pumps, it's just constant noise. 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, depending on how long you're gonna do that pump or that well. And it was just, I mean, it's hard work. But still, it's just like, I came back, they said, oh, well, you're not gonna get a degree now. So I went out on my own and I got to be part of this highway and then some. But I had to leave the reservation to do it. And just like this contractor stuff is just like, I helped put in the fiber optic to Ronan Telephone Company, all through from Evero to Elmo, I could say, even to clear out to Camas Prairie. And it was just like, as soon as we need to lay people off. Well, we went to a contractor to help finish out by Blue Bay. And we were there for like 2 weeks and we hit the border. Oh, well, we don't need you no more. We got laid off through Ronan Telephone Company, went to work for the other company to finish putting in the fiber. And as soon as we got to Blue Bay or Yellow Bay, it was where it stopped, and that was it. We were done. And it was 2 of us that got laid off. But we got laid off and we got put to work the same next week with the other company to finish that fiber optic. It's just, I mean, it's just ongoing, all this contractor stuff and subbing out. I mean, loopholes that they're just, I mean, it's not ever gonna stop. I mean, to me, like I told Carol, I mean, the backbone was when Sheila Matt was there, Lissa Pill, and it's just like the oppression up there is just like horrible right now. There is no help up there upstairs. I could just walk into the KKK and just, you know, have them open their arms to me and have their phony attitude. It's just, there's nothing done for the tribal members. When Lissa and Sheila were in there, it was always tribal members first descendants second, then we'll look at other tribal members. It's not even like that at all. It's just, you got all these people, we got a college across the highway here, and nobody that's been through that program is probably working. They probably did what I did, had to leave here just to get work. I mean, sure, now I could see where this is going with safety dams. There's a lot of people out there, and that's good. But you know, the money that we make here, these federal jobs, this federal money, it's just like, it's not, it's there when I'm off the register. I make big money. I make good money for my family. And when I come back here, it's like, I seen one of my friends that I helped him get work here because he came back home and I helped him to get work here. And he's just like, so he left again because there was no work here. He goes, well, I don't get the money like we do. What I used to do, like when got me hired. He goes, but I took that pay cut, but you can be home every night. And they gave him like a couple dollar raise. So he's like in the $22 range by now, maybe. But it's just like, you know, that's feasible. You're making like $40 an hour. You're used to that, but you're not home. FaceTime's not the same. Just like your Zoom, it's not the same being here in person. You know, there's a lot of issues. And, you know, I talked to Martin about, I needed help with my land. I needed help with some fencing. Now I got to go out and buy hay for my animals because I couldn't get it cut. Yeah, I can't even pasture it because nobody wants to pasture it or help me. I pastured in the beginning, but now I need fencing work. And so I have to take time off from work just so I can stay home. But yeah, I can't just go and buy all this stuff. And then he said, well, there's programs out there. Martin says, oh, he's going to talk to Anita. Well, 2 months later, it's just like he doesn't say nothing, won't even answer his phone. And it just like I'm supposed to be a Dick Anderson employee. When I got hired out there at Kicking Horse, I went out there the first day that I heard about it. They just pulled their trailers, their little office trailers in there. And it was like 5 weeks later, I finally got hired. In that 5 weeks, the fourth week, I got to show up for orientation in Missoula. And then that's when they said, oh, show up next week. But then, and in between that, you guys had this program out there at Kicking Horse. So yeah, I got to feed my family. So I'll take advantage of that. I'll go out there and look at what they're going to give us. And I picked up food for other families that don't have transportation or, you know, so then I just like seeing this pipe out there from the first day that I went out there to that third or second week I went out there again, a third of or more of that pipe was already in the ground and there was no tribal members. Finally, 3 of us got to go in orientation on the 20th of November. They said, show up Monday. We show up, what was it, not maybe the week before the Thanksgiving weekend. And it was just like, yeah, it was like to this year, it would have been like last week that we went to an orientation for Dick Anderson. There's 3 of us. Then maybe 3 weeks later, they bring in 2 more laborers. There's only 5. There's no quota that this IPO does or that they can ever fill. Even though we have all this heavy equipment training that goes across every year aboard that, you know, people graduate in a year. And before it was a year, it was a 2-year program. But you have all, this has been like for 30 years, since 98 was when I was supposed to graduate. But that's how long I've been working on my own. Because I didn't have a degree. I couldn't put that down. So I said, it don't even matter if I have it. Oh, well, I'll just put my CDL down that I can run this equipment. I didn't even put down to college because they never helped me. They wouldn't take me back in after they said I could go there for 2 weeks. If I didn't like it, I could come back. And Dave Bick was one of the instructors. But you know, it's not about who's who. It's just, you know, what we do on our own. And then it's just, I'm supposed to be a Dick Anderson employee. And then over half this, or over a third of the pipe's already in the ground. And then you watch how these contractors that it's just like shady work, some of the stuff that has to be done. Well, yeah, you can cut corners sometimes, but when you start doing it here, I mean, even through the highway, I mean, like up in Evero, there was a tunnel crossing there. It's shallow and you can see it every time you drive by it. It's just, oh, we got to dig it all up. Well, we already got compaction. Well, we're going to just do it. We're just going to bury it. It's already half the tunnel's already in the ground. So you got your surveyors and then they're just like, well, we're just going to bury it anyway. It's going to like take probably another a week and a half to tear it out and do what we just done for like a month to get where we're at, tearing that road out in the middle of the highway. So we're just going to just go with it. Same thing in Lone Pine. Bridge is too low, or it's just like, oh yeah, just that crossing there is just, it's probably this much. You can barely get your hot oil, I guess, or your pavement on it without even having any kind of lift of compaction. And it's there too. You can see it when you drive over it. I mean, if you know construction, I'm sure IPO doesn't, because at least Alyssa or Sheila would drive out to the sites and you don't ever see these people. And when they do, it's like when there's a big powwow, when everybody, like all the people are going to be there. But in between is when all the shady work goes on. And it's just like, yeah, because they look at me, oh, you're from here. Oh yeah, you're not going to keep the secret. Well, you need to go over here and go do that work. And then you can be over there and while we cover this up over here. Inspectors are standing there, but they're not aware what's going on. They're trying to come down, but by the time they get down there, it's already been covered up. And they already pushed me away to where, you know, and when you get hired from these contracts, oh, you can't be on your phone, can't be carrying your phone. So then people are saying, take pictures. Well, yeah, you're afraid you're gonna get fired because you got your phone. got your phone out and then say, think you're on your phone. Well, you can't, you're not supposed to be on your phone. You get a write up. And it's just like, it's just their ways of trying to protect their own company. Like I said, I'm supposed to be Dick Anderson employee. They said, oh, the tribal health, you can do the dirt work. And here the dirt works here. I went down there the first day that office showed up. They had their, like, I was their token Indian before, not Dick Anderson's, but other companies. The only tribal member that was on this job, but still, like, oh, they had Roger Pablo Jr. Well, yeah, he's probably in Missoula now. He was just there to set the trailer up. And it's just ongoing. And then here I said, well, yeah, I come here they said I'd be able to help with the dirt work. The same work that we did out at Job Corps is the same work that they're doing right now with all the main line, sewer line, all the drain line, everything. But here they subbed it all out. So now I'm out of work for local work. And then they said the same thing for Jocko. It's just probably going to do the same thing. Oh yeah, they'll probably sub that out. And you look at the bids, you approve the bids that they're doing all the work. Oh, well, something came up, so now they can do a change order. Now it's a change order, so then just per se, they bid it for 100,000. Well, look where they're at now. They were hauling our dirt off, probably selling the dirt, calling it spoils, and dumping it in a different pit. And so they're billing us or billing them, and they're getting the profit off of it. Now I talked to so-and-so, and she says, yeah, we're getting all that topsoil back. It's hard to find this good topsoil. I said, yeah, I just watched them dumping it back to back in this other pit. I said, yeah, they're probably charging for that stuff. This is our topsoil. This is our tribal health center topsoil. And
So, Joe,
it wasn't the first time either. It was like through this Pablo Road, same thing. It's just always, they're just undermining us.
James had something?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Joe, I just appreciate you coming in because, you're expressing things that all of our tribal members that feel like they had to go away to make a living and, provide for their families and such. And your whole family's been that way, for years and years and years. And I feel bad that we have to have, our tribal members have to seek other places, and it seems like it seems that way. And I know I've experienced that. You go other places and you feel like sometimes you're treated better than you are when you come home to your own land, and that shouldn't be. And I know everyone up here doesn't want that to happen, but it does happen, and it's sad. And I'm glad you came in and to express that, because you're speaking for yourself and other tribal folks that are working and trying to make ends meet, and provide for their families, and some are for their cattle and that type of thing. So I really appreciate you coming in and telling the council how you feel, and that's and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for making that way for your family and such. And any way that we can support you and help you, I would like to see us do that, because you're seeing things that I won't see. I'm not a construction type person, but those things that you see and you bring in and tell us about them, that helps the council to hopefully make better decisions and get the staff to make better decisions and pay attention to those things that you're struggling with, and I'm glad you come to express it, because, it just bottles up, and if you don't get it out and say it, then sometimes that's not good as well. But Joe, I appreciate it.
You're
Carol?
welcome. Let me just, I got a lot of information. I mean, we're talking about this Dixon thing too. I mean, it's been abandoned. Let's just say it's pretty much been abandoned. There's still old casings out there for the septic system that just got abandoned. Housing said there's no money there. We went so far, they milked it out to where You know, if we had a non-member company like Dick Anderson or somebody come in, it would have been pounded in a month, whether there was cut corners or not. There wouldn't be casings of new sewer casings just sitting there like grass growing through them. And it's just like, oh, when we had Terry pits in there, it's just, well, we're gonna pave it. And that was before my parents passed. Well, we're gonna put new pavement in there. And that never happened. That place has been abandoned. That's the old complex. It's the old complex. I grew up there. That was my home since I was a baby. And I watched that place when Two Eagle was on the backside of my house. It's just like, I know that place has been abandoned. Why are we still fighting for this AA thing when we flattened all the buildings? And then we're putting a new building there and now we're arguing over a key. Well, what's gonna happen? We're worried about all these druggies and alkies gonna ruin this building. Well, it's not being used, whether it's being remodeled or not, it's just sitting there. It's just like, is there transportation for these abusers? Because far as I know, I'm still an alcoholic. I've been sober. I've been going on 30 years next November. I just passed my 29th year, November 1st. And it's just like, oh yeah, let's put it all on them like they all have problems. And it's just like, well, some of us got past it already. But if there's nothing for us to do, but to do that, then let's just keep them oppressed over there. And like I said, when I was in school, and Mike Dolson probably heard of my so-called #1 business plan to fix this hot springs area that has the #2 rated water in the world. It's just like, there's 19 minerals in there and it's pumping out of the ground, 104 degrees. The first rated water in the world has got 21 minerals in that water and it's surrounded by landmines. Our water is not surrounded by landmines. And we got Symes over there just hopping. They're building. They're just like adding on. And our old bathhouse is just sitting there, falling apart again, ready for another cleanup, rather than for another asbestos. Let's just flatten that out while we're flattening everything else out. If we're gonna do something with that water, we should have done it 50 years ago, 60 years ago from when I started that business plan. How I seen these guys wanted to fly them in and fly them out. And that's what we should be doing. There was like people from all over the world coming over just for our water before Symes was even big. And it's just like, here, we're just sitting here, sitting on the best thing in the world. And it's just like, there's nothing we're doing about it. We're still oppressing our tribal members. Like James says, you come back, you just want to give up. You don't even want to do nothing. You got people that see all these people behind me, but you don't know their names, but you know, I'm speaking for them. That's who I'm here for. And they're the ones that get run off just like I do. They say, yeah, well, there's no work back home. There's some people that come here that just stay here and wait for these federal jobs. I worked out last year at South Crow. One of these guys, he goes, I don't know why, but I'm getting paid $2 less than I did when I was on the first phase of this South Crow job. And when I was working with Dick Anderson, after I left that job, it was pretty much straight across. I'm over at Kicking Horse. I'm getting that extra $2.50 more, and I'm in the same zone, same work zone as he is. And I said, well, I don't know why he's getting paid $2 less. It's probably the contractor.
Joe, go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, I asked the Chair if I could speak. I hear what you're saying. And there was a time when we didn't have the availability of funds like that are coming up now. We have plans for hot springs, but you just blew it out of the water by giving all the information up. No, I'm teasing. But you're right. We have plans. So you got to be just a little patient. And I know you probably say, here we go, being patient again. But there are some real good plans coming forward with all these compact dollars coming down. we got to stay optimistic about Dixon. We got to stay optimistic about these projects. But the reason why I wanted to come in is I wanted council to get a feel for what your knowledge is. And I think that office, and we're not in the business of hiring people up here, but I think that office could use somebody like you to go out and superintendent these jobs for us and be on the ground. They get a lot of money. Well, they get a percentage of money from each project that comes forward. You know that. And I don't know where all the dollars go, but I would rather hire somebody like yourself, keeping tribal members out there employed, than have a percentage of that money go into the tribal general fund. So I'm thinking that there might be a place for you. And when I talked to Lisa this weekend, she was going to give you a call. And I'm hoping that's what the conversation was about, is about possibly developing a job for that office so that they could put somebody on the ground like yourself with the knowledge. It most likely have to be advertised, but I think if there's money there, they should do it. And it shouldn't be just one person, because we got more than one project going on. And if you're not there watching it, and maybe there are superintendents, maybe I'm off base, but somebody that's doing their work on the ground, that knows, and knows the job and knows what goes on in those projects. Because if you're in an office pushing paper, you don't know those details, like James said. So I'm hoping that's what comes out of this, and try to stay a little more positive about the AA stuff and all the things that are going on. I know it's hard, but I see some good things happening. I really do. And it may not be in our lifetime, but at least it's coming forward.
Correct. And that's
Thank you,
what I'm
Carol.
saying. I mean, it's been going on. Here we are again, like starting from box A. We were here like 20 years ago when I did the business plan, and then they said, oh, now somebody else put 2 more business plans beside mine. So say, well, this guy's got a good idea. So did these guys. Well, they got more EPA stuff, and well, I did too, but it was just like, oh, well, we'll just put it on the back burner again. And that's what they told me, literally told me that was put on before any of you were up here. That, oh, we're putting it back on the back burner again. And here I sit again. And it's just like, well, yeah, I did have patience since 98 when I won that business plan. #1 business plan of the year. And I represented our people when I was the president of American Indian Business Leaders. And I was on the ambassador side, I was a sergeant at arms. They flew me to DC, all these places. And you know what? That was an honor. One time I flew out, I forgot my dress shoes. All I had was my moccasins. And Colin Powell come down. He came out of the blue. I found a table, and Colin Powell come down. He goes, I heard a lot about you. And he shook my hand. I seen all these people coming around, Secret Service, I guess. And I was just like looking, and I just sat at this table, and he came. They said, oh, there's a man that wants to meet you. Colin Powell just come up, and I was just like speechless, because he shook my hand. He goes, I heard a lot about you. He goes, you keep doing what you're doing. He goes, someday you'll be up there. And he was pointing up to the main stage where Condoleezza Rice was. And it's just like, and I'm sitting there with my moccasins, because I forgot my dress shoes.
Those are your dress shoes.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Well, thanks for coming in, Joe. Lisa's here if you want to talk about some of those issues. And, I think Carol had some good suggestions. We know that the Indian Preference Office is underfunded. It's like 1.5 FTEs. So we are quite a bit behind our schedule.
Yes, I'm sorry. I mean,
no.
just like I said, though, like she says, there won't be enough ground people, because there's not enough out at South Crow. They got one strung out over here, another one over here, while the dirty work's going on down below. It's just like, well, you needed three of them, but you don't have that one that's watching where all the shady work's going, because they're pushing them over here, saying, oh, well, you got to watch this part. We need you up here, when actually where they messed up is down here. It's like that everywhere you go. There's not enough inspectors on the job, unless you have like one on each digging site or wherever they're supposed to be doing work. And that's the bottom line. I mean, everywhere I've been, even off the reservation, it's the same way.
So Lisa, can you come back to us with recommendations? Okay. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have fire control. Go ahead, Ron. Ron's information is on page 2 in the packet.
Esquix Travel Council. It looks like you've had a busy morning. So I've got Daryl Claremont on. We're going to talk about getting permission to continue burning piles through the winter. Daryl?
Good morning, Daryl Claremont, the prescribed fire and fuels manager for the tribe. So we're asking for permission to burn during the closed season during the winter. We'll be burning piles, and that's a combination of both deck piles from timber sales, as well as hand piles and some other machine piles that were created through our fuels projects. We usually come in about this time every year for the last several years asking for this approval. I don't know if there's any questions.
Any questions from council? If not, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll
Motion
make.
by
the-
Anita, second by Carol, to approve the burning during the closed burn season, December 1st through March 1st. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Thanks, guys.
Thank
you.
Oh, sorry, Lynn is opposed. Motion carries. Okay, next up, we have permission to advertise.
That's quite special. Good morning, council.
Good morning.
Let me share screen here real quick. Are you able to see that? Good.
Yes.
So yeah, correct. We're here for permission to advertise 2 login sales in our North Buffer Zone pilot project. This has been a long time development of a project here. It's been a few years. We've worked, as you know, Buffer Zone is a restricted land base, and so we've worked to get the land it was unavailable and reclassified as restricted, and worked with other departments, other resources, develop a login plan in there that's not forestry based. We're trying to do a fuels reduction spacing of overstory trees, but also not as heavy as treatment as we've done in other areas to reduce the risk of blowdown and wind throw in the area. The main priority of the project is to do a fuels reduction. And this is a pilot project, as I said, to kind of showcase what we're envisioning for possible treatment throughout the buffer zone in future coming years. So we have two sales in here. The first one starts on page 4, goes over North Buffer Zone Crow logging units. And I'd like to introduce one of our newer foresters, Justin Underwood. This was his first contract development, and take it away, Justin.
Yes, good morning. So the one I'm proposing is going to be North Buffer Zone Crow. It's going to be composed of essentially 789 total acres. We're going to try to manage about 143 of those on my 3 units there. Total value, we're looking right in the 75,000 range. we're looking minimum bids at $12 for ponderosa pine, $20 for Douglas fir. And yeah, do we have any questions on my portion of the units, I guess?
One thing to add, Mr. Chair, is this is a wintertime login only sale that helps reduce the impact on the ground disturbance. So you'll see there in our advertisements, harvest activities limited between November 30th and April 1st. And those were dates recommended by wildlife.
I'm just curious about the price of the timber. Does that seem to be, I'm sorry, I don't know what prices really are, and $20 a ton for Western larch?
Yeah, $20 a ton. We've done our normal appraisal process as we do with every sale. This sale does have some very good good sized trees, Doug fir, Western larch, and $20 a ton is what we figured out to be appraisal based on the volume removed, the distance to the mills, and the road work and other responsibilities the contractor will have for this project.
So I have a question. What do they do with the pulpwood, and could it be salvaged in some way to give the tribes more money?
These sales, I don't think will have very much pulpwood as most of the units are pretty decent sized trees. And currently right now, the only avenue we have for pulpwood is Bonner Mill and Warehouser when they start up and down to unload that pulp product too. We're hopefully working on a future proposal to utilize that pulp in a better way, but we don't have anything set up currently, and neither do mills seek after that type of wood.
So that includes the cull logs as well, right?
Yeah,
it's
correct.
25 cents.
Correct.
Wow.
Any other questions from council?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Sharma.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Zach, I'm wondering if the volume here will have any impact on the road back there. That road that comes off of Michelle Road and goes on the back side of this area, is that going to be maintained, I guess, with the activity of this sale?
Yes, there's going to be maintaining of both the main road going into North Crow area there, as well as the roads that we're going to be used for harvest. We're going to have a road lift and then a culvert install in a particular spot where there's some ground seepage, that sort of a thing, or where water collects when it does drain. And so, yes, that will all be maintained throughout the process, and then a final maintain at the end of harvest.
Thank you. I would make a motion to approve the advertisement.
Okay, a motion by Sharma, second by Mike. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries unanimous.
Okay, and so this sale or this project area, we broke up into two different sales based on logistics. The second area is North Buffer Zone Terrace Logging Unit, and this unit is directly behind forestry up by the canal. Involves quite a bit of road work, another road lift, multiple culverts installation, and we're working with the county on bridge maintenance over the canal also. I believe, yeah, there's Chuck. I'll let Chuck introduce this and give the minimums.
Yeah, hey, good morning, council. My name's Chuck Bird, forestry here. So the portion of my sale consists of 2 units, equals 373 acres, 656 tons of ponderosa pine, and 15,827 tons of Douglas fir. The rates are the same as the previous sale, $20 a ton for the Doug fir and $12 for the Ponderosa Pine. Yeah, and it's basically the same type of road work that's going to be done. We have a problem with the road seepage of water getting onto the road. So it's basically channelizing the road. So we're hoping to fix that and, just make it a better road for the general public to use, because we know it's also a high recreation area. So if you guys got any questions.
There's no questions. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion, Madam Chair.
Motion by Bing to approve the sale. Second by Mike. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
Okay, and that's all we had for you today. Thanks. Have a good day.
Okay, Len has a question.
Yeah.
Good morning, Tony. I was kind of curious to know where are we at with the bear plan for the Boulder fire?
Implementation stage. The main haul road, we worked with the BIA roads program to do culvert work in there. We bid out the 2700 road area road work package. Travel member did receive that package and is scheduled to begin work there. Should be in there, I think now or very soon. The geotextile, I believe that's what it was called, geotextile specialist. We did finally get a one on contract after running that advertisement a few times. We've met with them and moving forward with a erosion prevention plan with him for the future of the spring here. And then the salvage of the timber itself is in NEPA development and sitting with the Fish and Wildlife Service for a biological assessment. We're planning on hopefully getting that timber and that sale going out this winter and finish up by early spring. And then we can apply the bear funding for the planting that is scheduled in there for the following year.
Thanks, Tony.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we'll take Jody's item and then we'll take a quick break. Jody's information starts on page 38 in the packet. Good morning again.
Hi. So this is a request for a resolution to be signed that will authorize housing to apply for and administer the fiscal year 2021 Indian Housing Block Grant. It's a competitive grant. And this is a ceiling of $5 million, and we will be applying for the whole thing. It is to build 10 new low rent duplexes. And we're going to build 1 in Elmo, 3 in Polson, 2 in Ronan, 2 in Mission, and 2 in, maybe only 1 in Ronan. But we're spreading it out in Arley also, because during our public comment periods, a lot of the comments were asking for construction in more than the Ronan and Pablo areas. And so we listened to the perspective of the public, and that's why we're spreading them out. And they're going to be 2-bedroom duplexes. So it will eliminate 20 people from our waiting list. And we don't currently have the lease agreements in place, but we have shared all the maps with the lands department and they will work with us. We don't technically need them in place at the time of application, but all of the sites have been identified.
Okay, Len has a question.
Thank you, Jody. That sounds like a good project. And I'm just kind of curious to know why we overlooked Hot Springs and why we're only doing 1 in Elmo. And just a suggestion, have we discussed just doing two of these houses in every community?
We went by the needs and also available places. Hot Springs you can't build in Hot Springs right now. There's nowhere to build. I went to a meeting over there, must have been 2 summers ago. It was during the first summer of COVID. And they said their water is maxed out. They don't allow any more hookups. And it is also very hard to find contractors who want to drive to Hot Springs to put them in. And we rarely have people on the waiting list in Hot Springs. If I were to look, I would bet no one is just sitting on the Hot Springs waiting list. We have 2 units over there right now. We had 10 and it was hard to fill them. We demolished 8 of them because they were the foundations were sinking into the ground and the building was staying where it was built. So there was a gap between the foundation and the walls. So the need isn't there for Hot Springs. For Elmo, there is a greater need, but we have 1 lot there that we've identified, and it's probably about 8 or 9 times greater need in the Polson, Ronan, and then the next need is in St. Ignatius, and Mission is about the same. But it's like 98 people on the low rent waiting list versus 10.
Okay, we have a motion by Martin, second by Ellie. Any other questions? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. All right, we'll take a quick 5-minute break and we'll come back with Natural Resources Department.
Testing, testing. If Martin or Ellie or someone remoted on to Zoom can say something real quick, we're trying to fix the audio issues after the electrical outage.
Hi, it's me, Ellie. Can you hear me?
That was perfect. I could hear you awesomely. Thank you, Ellie.
No worries. Have a good day.
You as well.
Hey, Madam Chair.
Did you say something, Bing?
Yeah.
Oh, Martin.
Madam Chair, I wanted to bring up something with Tom before he gets into his request.
Okay, we're on a 5-minute break, being right now. As soon as Shelley comes in, I'll let her know.
Yeah, I know, but I thought I could let you know ahead of time before we get started.
There you go.
Was someone addressing me?
Oh, yeah, I'm just making sure that we could hear you.
Okay, you're coming in clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Bing, did you have something for Tom really quick?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair, and thank you. And members of council. Tom, this morning I got a call and it was reported to me that there was only 4 bulls been taken out of Prairie Basin so far. And he was wondering if there's a possibility of us extending that season up until the end of December. the Ferry Basin unit?
Madam Chair, being I can review that with the staff on the harvest. I don't know what the harvest level is. I haven't checked that this week. And then talk to the Whisper and Shannon about it and get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bing. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, his question, everybody. We had a request from David
Oh,
Wall.
hold on. I guess Len has something.
Okay.
Tom, in regards to the question that Bing had, I was kind of curious. What is the elk population count out there?
I can't tell you that number right now because we didn't fly our aerial flights this year due to COVID. So that's something we look forward to doing, getting some better aerial counts so we can do have that number. We've made some assumptions of what it is. Again, I could get that back to you based on what Shannon believes it might be.
Okay, thanks, Tom.
You bet. So on page 41 of your agenda, we had a request from David Wall to have a hunter assistant help him, that being his descendant son, for hunting big game animals on the reservation for a month as the form allows for. So that's the request from David, is to grant permission for his descendant adult son to assist him with the vehicle operation, field dressing, and retrieval only of a big game animal that he harvests himself.
I don't have a packet, so who's the names of the people requesting?
It's David Wall is requesting for his descendant son Samuel. Mike? We have a motion by Mike to approve the request. Second by James. All those in favor? Opposed? Anita? And Charmel abstains. Motion carries.
Lem Lemch. The next item would be carrying on our discussion with the tribal member and non-member regulation process. We started back in June, early June, to reflect concerns from the membership and council on increased law enforcement and conflict from the number of non-members using tribal lands and space, conflicts for resources. So we started that process with you and made different presentations to tribal elders and back to tribal council again. So at this point in time, we have what Lester Big Crane will go over, a revised proposal for you for non-member restrictions. But we also have a time constraints that one thing that you might be able to do for us, if no other action is taken today, would be to approve the tribal member regulations for us to take out for advertisement for a 30-day notice. The only changes we have in that document is the emergency closures that you've already approved for both the bison range regulations and for the safe harbor marsh. And so if you would provide that approval for us to scope that now immediately for the next 30 days, that would help us with our printing constraints in mid-January with the printer getting the regs done. So we would alleviate some of the demand or pressure on the printing of the regulations. So I'll turn it over to Lester right now, and he can talk about the packet.
Go ahead, James.
I just want to say it's a great day to have was in charge of the bison range. I know I wasn't here when all that happened, but I was here when it was a battle, ugly. You know, we were told that we couldn't hook up a trailer to a pickup truck. We couldn't make the chemical combination of a toilet. Our opponents said, what do the Indians know about buffalo anyway? Those are the things that we battled back in the day. And it's nice to see that we are in ownership of it. Tom was in some of those meetings, and Carol and I and some of the others that we had to sit across from some of those people that said bad, evil, racist things about our people. And, you know, I went up to Bison Range over the summer, and it was nice to see our tribal flag flying over. And I tell you, one of the troubling things that I had to endure when I was chair is front page of the Missoulian with armed federal officers forcing our people off the Bison Range. And that was on the front page of the Missoulian, and it sticks in my mind. And so we are a blessed Salish, Kootenai, Pondere people to be in charge of our land again there in the bison that belong to us anyway. So I just had to say that, so appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Les.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Council. As Tom had mentioned, we have a couple proposed changes. One to the tribal member regulations that, as Tom had mentioned, we're kind of into time constraints, and the changes are listed as part of the packet that we sent you. Can be found on the second page. That lists the Safety Harbor Marsh and Bison Range regulations. They have been in emergency regulations that council's put in place. So to approve those tribal member regulations, we could have them go out through the public 30-day notice and get into the process of printing them. We have them out for the next permit year. The second part is the non-member regulations. As our discussion has been, we've had multiple meetings talking about different ideas of permit prices and potential closure sites, tribal member use only areas, tribal member use only sites, and increased cost of the permits. So the non-member regs we have listed as part of part one that we've discussed before. For the camping stamp and the permits for the non-reservation residents increased. In addition, the current what we've added on is the cost to the residents of the reservation, the second bullet item, and for the conservation license. And the same was with the tribal members regulations. The part 3 bird hunting is adding the Safety Harbor Marsh, again, emergency regulation that has been in place. And part 4, I believe, do you guys have a copy of that land status map? I think I sent along with the packet.
Yes, we do, Les.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So on that, we have, again, through some recommendations, again, having the part 4, having additional closed areas. The first bullet is a Twin Lakes recreation area, which encompasses all the campground there. That'd be a tribal member use only area. And the second bullet would be the Hog Heaven and Chief Cliff area, which is the portions north of the highway, west of Highway 93, north of Highway 28, and the Brown Road, I believe it's called. Encompassing that part of area, Hog Heaven and Chief Cliff area, being a tribal member use only area. There we go. And the third one, which would be number 8, would be the Irvine area. So that would encompass all of the North Salish range, known as Irvine Lookout area, described as everything within the, basically under the Irvine Forest Road system, the I-1000 to the I-6000 road system.
Carol has something? Yeah, Lester, I was hoping that maybe we could include the river corridor somehow to motorized SUVs, ATVs type thing. I don't necessarily think of vehicles like, trucks and cars as much as a problem as the motorized vehicles. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Besides nightmare.
Madam Chair, question?
Go ahead, Ellie.
Carol, for clarification on your statement, are you suggesting banning them completely? Or can you clarify, please?
I would say banning until there's some kind of recovery out there, because I think there's a lot of devastation and damage to the resource because of the use. But then you get the use, the area recovered, and then it goes back to the same old way. I would think it would be long-term. But I want to hear the experts in the field on what their thoughts are. I know it'd be a fish and game nightmare trying to keep that covered, but maybe we get a drone in the sky or maybe a helicopter. I don't know.
Yes, Madam Chair. The river corridor, a lot of what folks see in the scarring of the land, a lot of those are very old off-roading scars from quite a while ago. But the two main roads that parallel the river corridor, where we have roads other than the highway below Dixon, are county roads. So from Sloan's Bridge down to the Moss Ranch is technically a county right away. And then north all the way up to Buffalo Bridge on the west side of the river there's only one segment in there that doesn't have a county right of way. So we probably would have some difficulty in trying to restrict a vehicle type on that road. Off-roading in general is just illegal, no matter who does it, unless it's a tribal member retrieving game or forest products. So the biggest issue on road use and how you can stop it and a lot of the illegal activity is is just associated with an open road. So the best way to recover an area when you have a lot of adverse impacts is to close it to all vehicular traffic. If you can, if you have control of the right of way of the roads, that's the best way to try to recover. The majority of the illegal things that we encounter are associated with road use or wheeled vehicles, whether it's a pickup truck or an ATV or UTV. That's typically what we encounter. But anyway, that's the way the river corridor sets up, is that we would have some difficulty in the two main roads that are parallel the majority of the river, than that they are county roads.
Anita?
Just real quickly, and it's kind of where Carol's coming from. You see a lot of the ATVs and the razors and the motorcycles or whatever, but it seems like they take off and start going through one trail, and pretty quick there's a pickup driving through it. So it ends up a road. And I think if you flew over that whole area, you would see that. And it's desecrating the area, in my opinion. I don't know how we can keep them from it. I know if you go in Sloan's Bridge, you can't get past McDonald, but oh my goodness, I don't know. There's got to be something we can do about getting some road attendants or something out there to help us with the misuse. Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tom, I'm wondering what kind of extra pressure can we expect on other areas of the reservation once we close these sections?
Madam Chair, Mike, the uses on the north end of the reservation are pretty light. So we don't have a lot of that Hog Heaven, Chief Cliff area or Urban Lookout doesn't really have a lot of non-member pressure. I think the uniqueness is what a lot of the membership brought up was the ATV or UTV rental business in Big Arm. And so there were some new people on the landscape that we weren't witnessing. And then of course, there's some general increase of residents from all the big population shift moving to Western Montana. So there's some of that. I think the displacement might be at Twin Lakes. So that particular closure, you could end up with some additional pressure, but we do know that the Twin Lakes has a lot of tribal members that use it already, and that sometimes it's near capacity, which is tribal members using it. So that would be the only place that there might be some displacement issue where they try to move down to St. Mary's Reservoir, or they move over into Jocko Prairie, somewhere in that neck of the woods. It could be a potential. I think a lot of the folks with the fee increases that are being proposed, some of the pressure will diminish because of the fee increases. So that might counterbalance that particular point. We might see a reduction. We did see a reduction in camping use in the Flathead Lake area this summer at the state parks. The visitation went down nearly 5% from last year. So there was a lot of extra COVID pressure last year from people trying to escape it from the West Coast. And so there was additional camping pressure everywhere last summer. This summer it dropped a little bit. So there is a decline. That a lot of those folks have just found a place to live. They were homeless or they were in transit trying to buy a place, and so some of that pressure, they actually moved into residence, so they weren't camping anymore. So there's a little bit of that going on too.
Madam Chair, question?
Go ahead, Ellie.
Tom, for clarification on the Twin Lakes area then, so is it, and I'm sorry if I missed this, but would it be okay for a non-member spouse then to be camping with the tribal member? Or are there any exceptions to what that looks like?
Yes, Madam Chair. Councilwoman Bundy, the regulation will be the same as the South Fork. So your non-member spouse and children of any age can accompany you there to camp. Yes, it's just simply, and they'd also be able to fish. So it's basically a different closure than the primitive areas, but it's really allowing that immediate family member to accompany you in camping there into that closed area, or day use or picnicking or whatever it might be.
Thanks, Tom, for that clarification.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Or are we ready to approve the proposed changes for March through February 2023? Motion by Mike. Second by Lynn. Any other questions? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Len.
Shelley, members of the council, I brought this issue up on a couple other occasions, and that was the transfer of the state lands back to the tribes. I would really want us to focus on that endeavor for this next coming year and get those transferred over to us. I know there is a process in regards to appraising properties, identifying properties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but that's not our problem. You know, there's been a law, a federal law that has been passed that acknowledges those properties will be transferred to us. So I would like some type of correspondence sent to the state land board, letting them know that we feel strongly that we want that, we want those state lands transferred to us as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, well, legal is here, so noted. Go ahead, Dan. Thank you, Tom and Les.
If I may, Madam Chair, just one point of clarity. We will advertise both for the non-members and the tribal member. These are proposed regulations. They'll go out for 30-day notice. We'll take comments and we'll bring it back to you for your consideration or modification or approval after that. So, Lemlepsh.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Madam Chair, council members. So we have a handful of updates today, and I think I saw Shane was on. Shane, is your item for open session?
Yeah, it can be an open session.
Okay. Go ahead, Shane.
Good morning, council members. Just wanted to present to you a letter for your consideration. Worked in conjunction with Ryan on this particular letter. He asked me to draft something for the council, for the chairwoman to put out as a opinion piece, thanking Senator Tester for his work on the infrastructure bill and the work to get that done, and all the effort and work that's going to actually go into Indian country. So what I have for you today is an LTE for Tester in support of him for and thanking him for his great work on that particular bill. It's pretty short. I tried to keep it under 300 words because that's really kind of the threshold between 300 to 500 for LTEs for papers. So the plan is to send it out to a couple local papers here, Flathead Beacon, Charcusta, and then the big papers, Missoulian, Billings Gazette, Bozeman Chronicle, Great Falls Tribune, those sort, and Helena IR. So that's the plan. If you guys are okay with this, it's pretty short and sweet. Let me know, and I'm looking for approval to get this out. I can hear you.
We're still trying to find it in our email if you can't share it.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. Oh, it looks like a screen share here. Can you guys see that now?
Yeah, if you could just give us a minute to read it, please.
Okay.
Madam Chair. If you need a
Yes.
motion, I'll make a motion to approve with corrections, if anyone finds one.
Okay, we have a motion by James to approve the letter to Senator Tester, second by Anita. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Shane.
Yeah, thank you guys. And sorry to Jennifer, she did tell me to screen share. For some reason, I thought it would just be on the screen. So sorry about that, council.
Okay, well, thanks, Shane. We have a couple more open session items, Madam Chair. So first, I'll turn it over to Chelsea. I believe she has another letter for the council's consideration.
Yeah, good morning, council, and Chauncey, if you're there, I'm going to turn it over to Chauncey. This is a letter, it starts on page 49 of your packet, I believe, and it relates to the administration's request for comments on co-management. So go ahead, Chauncey, if you want to talk about that.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of council. I am bringing in a comment letter regarding the America the Beautiful initiative. This has to do with the president's executive order that he signed earlier this year, tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad. And the main goal of America the Beautiful initiative is to conserve 30% of the US lands by 2030. And so what the White House did is ask for tribal consultation. And then on the letter on page 49, they asked specific questions that we addressed. And legal did go through with our program and vet everything. So that is what we're coming to council today to approve this letter to submit.
Thanks, Chauncey. And I'll just add that, yeah, we worked together and to make sure that these comments also reflected the comments that the chairwoman made, was it last week at the Tribal Nations Summit. So, so that the comments hopefully align. So, yeah, so this comment, or it's it's due today and we'll email it in if this looks good to council.
Okay, thank you. James?
Yeah, just to note, maybe in the future, as we mention the Canadians, we should make a mention of some sort of our Tunaha bands, that our sister bands across the border, that we share common culture with. The only reason I mention that is because you mentioned the co-management with First Nations up in Canada, and I think they might be some of the bands in BC that might have some of that co-management, I think, with some of the parks in BC area possibly. So I just want to give them a little, make sure we mention that sometimes.
Great, thank you. We probably could work, well, I don't know if it's on a letterhead yet, but we can certainly do that in the future. Thank you for that good comment.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the letter? Motion by Anita to approve the letter. Second by Carol. All those in favor? Okay, motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Chauncey, for attending that consultation, and thanks, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Right, thank you, Chelsea, Chauncey. So Madam Chair, the open session item will be with John Harrison.
Morning, Council. I just have a couple of quick updates on some bison things. just to let the council know what's upcoming. On Wednesday, December 1st is the IBMP meeting. This is the winter meeting, and we'll be sending the winter ops will be discussed and setting the operations for the upcoming year. The staff's been working on getting some things ready for the meeting, and then we'll just go attend. Assuming Bing is going to be the rep there, and it'll be at Missoula at 8 a.m. Wednesday, December 1st at the DoubleTree, and we'll do that. The next thing would be to let you know that the National Park Service is reinitiating its consultation with cooperating agencies, because they're going to begin the process of doing their new bison management EIS. Again, this is part of what the lawsuit has been about, the neighbor's case. So that's been on hold. They're going to reinitiate consultation with cooperating agencies, and we'll go ahead and participate in that. And then that's scheduled right now. I just got an email right as we were sitting here. It's going to be Monday, December 6th. It's a conference call. It'll be 1 to 3 p.m. So folks from the Bison staff will attend that. Any council members want to do that, Bing can as well. And then our plan is that week, December 7th or December 9th, we've got an agenda request in to have the Bison staff come in, and we'll update the council on where we are currently with the hunt, what's happening with bison management issues, what happened at the IBMP meeting, what winter ops are going to look like, what the scoping call discussion was. And another part of that is we're also going to have Quinn Kuka, who is the current FWP tribal liaison, Blackfeet member. She's a former warden for FWP. She works out of the office in Great Falls. She has put in a request to Whisper to come in and visit with the council. She would just like to do an introduction and meet with the council. So we said, why don't we bootstrap that on with the bison update, because she's worked with the tribes and folks, probably most recently met her at the bison hunt managers meetings. She's been the one that's been facilitating those. So she would like to come in and do an introduction with the council. So we'll bring her in on that same day when the bison staff comes in, and Whisper will come in as well, because she partners with Whisper on a number of things. So that's just the quick update I have on that. If there's any questions, I could try to answer them. Otherwise, that's where we are with bison management stuff, and Yellowstone bison management stuff, and we'll be ready for you. So if there's no questions or anything, I'll just say happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and your families, and stay safe. And it's good to see James on there too. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, John.
All right, thanks, John. So, Madam Chair, at this time, we'd request the executive session for our remaining items.
Okay, we'll go